Good afternoon. I hope everyone's doing okay today. I wanted to talk a little bit about my boot journey, where I got started, and how I ended up to where I am right now. Today I am wearing my Frank's. It is a Old English Dublin over oiled Latigo chestnut. Has a double midsole and a honey Vibram outsole. And this is the boot that I pretty much wear when I'm on my day off, which is today. And it's great boot. Love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, so where I got started. I'm originally from the Midwest. I'm originally from Nebraska. Also lived in Iowa. And it being so close to Minnesota, Redwing was pretty much what a lot of people wore. So this is a 2217, which I believe they also call the Logger Max. This is where I got started. For the money, it's a good boot. It has a lot of leather in it, but it also has some synthetic components in it as well. And this is a Goodyear welt, which is a very fast manufacturing process because they have a machine that actually puts the Goodyear welt on and just zips it right around, and then they can go ahead and bond it to the outsole. This is not stitched through the outsole, and we'll kind of get into that when I get into the other boots that I have. So that's where I got started, and again, not a bad boot for the money. It's about $300, maybe $340, something like that. And it would serve its purpose, but after about 4 hours, it just wasn't comfortable. I needed something different, so I did some research, and there's a lot of companies out there that do a lot of advertising, and some don't. And I think there's a reason for that, and I'll get into that later. But the companies that advertise a lot, it's really easy to get sucked into that. So you have to look beyond that, beyond the advertising, and you have to look at, what is the boot, how is it constructed, and you have to look at your reviews, what customers say. I mean, all that should come into play, because you're going to spend a lot of money if you go beyond this. If you start going into like the Pacific Northwest boots, which is what I did. And I heard they had a higher arch and they were more comfortable once you broke them in. And I'm sure that some of you getting into buying the boots and stuff, you're probably hearing that as well. So there were companies that were doing a lot of advertising. The ones that do a lot of advertising, and you see, ads for them all the time, would be White's, Nick's, JK, Westco some. They do a lot of advertising. And then you've got, some smaller companies that don't, like Frank's. They don't do the studio, as I call it, the studio type of, videos and stuff like that, where they've got, a spokesperson that comes out, and it's a, professionally made, and produced video. They don't do that, but they don't need to either. And I'll get into that later as well. So looking at the boots, I was like, you know what? White's has been around since 1850 something. So it's got to be a good boot. Yeah, it's owned by a Japanese company, but they are employing American workers, so that really don't make a difference to me. As far as I'm concerned, it's still an American company because they make their product here in the United States and they hire Americans. So this right here is what is called a smoke jumper. It's kind of their, their bread and butter, I guess. This is where it all started. And this is built on what is called a 4811 last, and it's a comfortable boot. Now, the construction of this is different than the Redwing. The Redwing is a Goodyear welt. This is what is called stitch down construction. So when you get into the stitch down, you gain a couple of things. One of the things that you gain is that you can resole it and you can rebuild it. Now, the difference between a resole and a rebuild is the difference between replacing just this outer sole and replacing everything except the upper. So when they do a rebuild, they literally cut the threading in here, the heel counter, the vamp, and the only thing you're left with is just this upper and the backstay. And then they rebuild all of this. So that can be done with this boot. And there are companies that almost all of them do it, with the exception of JK now. I guess they don't do a resole, they just do a complete rebuild, and that's the only option you have. But what they do is they take this vamp piece, this piece of leather here. Some people might call it the toe or whatever, but they take this vamp and they actually make it larger than this area here, this vamp area. And then they spread that or fold that, or however you want to say it, out over the top of the midsole, and then they stitch it down. They stitch it through the vamp, the midsole, the slip sole, and the outsole. And that is more of a watertight type of construction than what a Goodyear welt would be. It's not waterproof. It doesn't have a sock liner. Okay, you're not going to get that with these boots unless you ask for. You're just not going to get it. Not a waterproof boot. That's where you would order something like a Danner or something like that, which I have several pairs of those as well, but I've omitted them for this discussion here because it's not much different than the Redwing, with the exception of being stitched down. But these boots use really thick leather as well. They use what is called a work leather. Most of that stuff is made by Seidel, and it's really good. I mean, this is a durable boot. This will last you a long time. And this is built on you can see this right here. It's got a white X there, and it's actually called the White X Vibram sole. It can also be referred to as the Fire and Ice sole. So if you're out on like slick pavement, I walk pavement. I have a 12-hour shift, and sometimes the pavement it's very smooth, finished concrete, and so it can get slippery. And these boots have absolutely no problem getting me around. So this has, besides the components that I've already mentioned, it also has an insole, and then it has a shank, which are also all leather. So, and then the outsole would be rubber. So very few synthetic components. Most of the stuff is leather. Okay. So I wore those for a while, and they were really good. I like them. I can get through an entire day with them. But I wanted something taller, and then I wanted to look at maybe getting something a little bit dressier. So my next step was I looked at Westco. And Westco is one of those companies that does some advertising. Kind of what made them really popular back when I was growing up was the Terminator movie and their engineer boot. But this is a boot that's been around since 1930 something. And it's called the Highliner. Now, they do make a similar boot, which is called the Jobmaster. And I say similar because this boot is actually taller in the heel. And these boots don't have the arch, the exact same arch that like the Whites or the Franks or the Nicks or the JK. These have more of a, I don't want to say muted, but it's just not as significant maybe as some of the other brands, but it still has an arch, and I can wear this all day as well. It just feels different. But I love the style. I love the looks of these boots. I think they did a great job on this. It's got the 2-color stitching on it. I just really like the way this boot is designed. And it is a lineman boot. And so that's why it's got this metal plate here. It's also got one here as well. I think it's a great boot. If you're looking for a taller boot, you could certainly, consider that one. Then after that, I went with a company called JK, and I don't have any of their boots here. and that is primarily because they just didn't work for me. I mean, listen, I mean they're a handmade boot, or not. Well, they're a stitch down boot. They're not hand sewn or Norwegian hand rolled welt, which I'll get to that in a minute. But they do have the stitch down construction. They don't. There's a couple of things that like don't have a slip sole, and that I guess is to make it more flexible. Listen, their customers that love it, they absolutely love JK, but it just didn't work for me. So then I was looking around. I was like, you know what? I've tried these other boots. I've spent so much money because I have like 3 pair of whites, and I had been buying like the Danner, the Bates, and other manufacturers. So I'd spent a lot of money on boots. And it was getting to the point where it's like, okay, you know, I've got to stop. I've got to land on a manufacturer that's going to work for me. So after the JK didn't work, I looked at Frank's, and I was like, Nick's, Frank's, you know, which one do I go with? Nick's does a lot of like studio video stuff, and it's almost overkill. It almost turned me off because it's like so much, you know. It's like blah 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 blah, you know, just all the time. And where Frank's, you know, they do videos, but it's more of a like a mom and pop feel. I mean, it's definitely more of a family type feel, and they are a family owned company, and I believe Nick's is as well. But it just seemed more like, you know, apple pie, I guess. I don't know how else to say it. It just seemed like a better fit for me, and I figured, and I learned this from working in some previous jobs, that some companies take that money that they could spend on advertising and they put it back into their product. And I really feel that's what Frank's does. I think they put their money back into their product, their people, you know, their overhead, stuff like that. It doesn't go into making videos and to try and be #1 out there, you know, get your face on the screen. So I went with Frank's, and I bought the Patriot, which it's inside. I didn't bring it out. It's a great boot. And that boot costs just a little under $400 now, and it's missing one thing that his other boots, that Frank's other boots don't have, which I think is to me it's important. I mean, listen, I'd wear a Patriot all day. I have no problem with it. It's built on a 55 last, so it's the same last that you would get like in a Nick's 55. And yet it's the same arch as the whites, but just the last, just like the toe box and stuff, is a little bit different. But that boot, again, it's all, you know, pretty much natural components with the exception of the outsole. It's built the same way as the other ones except for one, you know, mechanical bonding process, if you will. And I wore that for a while, and I was like, you know, this is a really comfortable boot, but Frank will openly tell you that he doesn't use his top grade leather in that boot. So I was like, you know what, you know, I want to go with a really heavy duty boot, and I want something that's going to last me a long time, and that I'm going to feel like, you know, rebuilding or resoling. So I ordered a lace to toe, which is this boot here. This is a Frank's. And this is a phenomenal boot. I mean, this is just, I mean, I love this boot. My wife, not so much, because she doesn't like the rough out. She says it looks like Paddington Bear with the fuzzy feet. So I have to wear something, you know, the boots I buy now are all smooth leather. But this boot is very comfortable. It has, again, stitch down construction. It has an outsole, a midsole, and a slip sole. And the slip sole on this and the midsole are significant. I mean, it's pretty good size. This is built on their T1 platform, or that's how I had it built. And this is considered a custom boot. I don't think they stock this. And so I ordered it and got it in, wore it. Changed my life, I'm telling you. I'm telling you that it is a really, really well-built boot and a very comfortable boot. I ordered it, or actually it comes on the 77, the 1977 last, and I'll just refer to it as the 77 from this point forward. But this boot is stitched through. It's again, it's stitched on construction, stitched through the upper, the midsole, and the slip sole, and then the bottom or the outsole is bonded and screwed in. And just because it's so robust, I mean, this is a boot that's built to take punishment. The one thing this boot has that this does not have, that this does not have, that the Knicks don't have anymore, and the JK doesn't have anymore, and that is what is called a McKay stitch. Now, a McKay stitch is stitched before they put the outsole on, and even I believe the slip sole too. It's just the midsole. And somebody correct me if I'm wrong, Frank, if you see this, and I'm wrong about the slip sole. If it's stitched through that, I'm sorry, but I know it's stitched through at least the insole and the midsole, and it's just on the inside of the other side of this upper. So if you look on the inside, if you peek down there, and if you take a picture, stick your camera down there and take a picture of it, you'll see stitching on the inside here. Well, what that does is that's a mechanical bond process. It makes this boot, damn near indestructible. Now, the other thing it does is it keeps all the trash and dirt and stuff like that getting in between the midsole and the insole, so it doesn't delaminate. On the other boots, you're relying solely on the upper and the midsole, being sewn down to keep the insole from separating from the rest of the boot. There's no McKay stitch on the other manufacturers. So if you truly want a well-built boot that's not going, you don't have to worry about it delaminating or coming apart on the insole, want it to last longer, then this is the boot you're looking for. And once I found this boot, and I was so impressed with how well it was built, and the fact that they used the McKay stitch, man, I was sold. I mean, and I'm loyal, sometimes to a fault. So I stuck with them. They're a family-owned business, American business. They're in Spokane, like some of the other manufacturers are, and they're just fantastic to work with. So I was like, yeah, okay, I found home now. So this is where I'm going to get my boots. And I never even tried Knicks. I mean, there wasn't any need to. I was really happy with Frank's, so I just stayed with them. And the rest of these are Frank's. So that right there is a blue ink Cavalier over black, and it has a lineman shank, which is like the Westco here. It has another second layer of leather underneath the arch that goes back to the heel, and it is double stitched down construction, the stitch down, and it's built on a white X outsole. And then I was like, you know what? I want to get. That's a customized boot, and I really like that. I can wear that to work. I can wear it out. It's very comfortable, and it's their monkey boot. So this is a lace to toe, and that is a monkey boot. So you can see that the laces go further forward towards the toes, and that gives me a more positive feel and the ability to really kind of lock it in, so to speak. And I've got skinny ankles, so I need all the help I can get as far as lacing it up and so on and so forth. And that's a 12-inch boot. And after that was built, I had these built, and then I was like, you know what? We're going to see what Frank's can do. I've got some ideas. My grandfather was in the 134th Infantry in World War II, so I had this boot built, and this has they call it a wrap. Some people call it a cuff, but the cuff is actually different. This wrap, it's got 3 straps on it. This is a 14-inch boot. Again, built the same way. And this is a, this one does not, this does not have the lineman shank. This one does. And this is a tribute to the P-61 Black Widow, which was a bomb, or not a bomber, it was a fighter in World War II. And you can see the backstays on both of these are decorative. Just did a great job. I mean, and they're, like I said, very comfortable. 1977 last. The toe box is a little taller, gives you more room for your toes. The arch is the same as the 55 last. All day long I can wear these boots and no problem at all. The break-in is not as bad as some of the other ones. You might get some bite, but it's not too bad. And then after that, I was like, okay, let's see what else Frank's can do for me. So we're working on it's a special project. That's all I'm gonna say at this point. Michelle will know what I'm talking about. But the other one is it's gonna be a 16-inch lineman boot that's gonna have the, I like the White's Storm Chaser, the lineman boot, and the last that they use on the 4811 on this, I like. So Frank's carries the 4811. They can build a White's boot, but the nice thing about it is it's going to have the foundation, and that's what I kind of want to get into here as far as the foundation of the boot. You got to start with that. I mean, everything starts with the foundation. I mean, even when we built this here, I mean, you know, we've got nails in here that, I mean, this is not going anywhere, and it's nailed all the way through to the concrete. And we probably overdid it, overbuilt it. But my firm belief is you have to have a good foundation. If you don't, everything else you build on top of it, you know, it isn't going to necessarily stay together or what have you. And that's where Frank's is separated from the rest. Frank's has kept that McKay stitch, where the other companies have dropped it away. And I understand it, but I don't understand it. What I don't understand about it is why they would charge the same amount of money that Frank's is charging, and you're doing the McKay stitch, which means the last has to come out, and then you stitch it, and the last has to go back in it. So, I mean, it's labor intensive. It's not just like, oh, I'm just gonna stitch it real quick and be done. No, it's labor intensive. So I understand why they got rid of it, because it allows them to streamline everything. They can get boots done quicker, but I really think that you're missing out on something by not having that McKay stitch. Now, some people will say, because maybe they're, you know, dedicated to another brand or whatever, they'll say, well, you know, it rubs your feet. Man, I've wore all these boots with the exception of the ones that are a Norwegian hand-rolled welt, all have the McKay stitch, and I've not had one issue. I ain't had one issue. You know, one guy doesn't wear socks, and I'm like, why would you not wear socks and wear a boot? No wonder you can feel it. But, you know, over time, if you can feel it, over time, your feet will wear into it, and it won't be an issue. But if you want a durable boot, you know, I would go that route. You're not going to spend any more money, you know, for the same thing that you get in Nick's or, you know, a Nick's or JK. You're going to spend about the same. So, you know, that's where I deviate to, and I just have Frank's build everything for me now. They're really, unless I come across some shoe or boot or whatever that Frank's doesn't have a last for, there's just no compelling reason for me to go anywhere else. I mean, that's why I haven't tried Nick's. I mean, there's no reason for me to do so. I'm so happy with these guys, that's just what I go with. So it is a very, very well-built boot, and the wife is home. looking at me like, hey, you got all these boots out here. Yes, dude. But anyway, one last thing I guess I wanted to say was Westco has this boot book, I guess. It's their 100-year anniversary or whatever book. It's a great book that tells you about, how these boots are constructed. It's a little pricey, but it's worth it. I mean, it gives you a lot of insight into how boots are made, and I think Westco did a really nice job on this. But outside of that, I hope everyone has a good day. I hope you found this informative. If you have any questions, hit me up. I'm glad to answer them.